What's up, positive bitches? How are we doing today? If you are hearing this episode, then you are meant to be here, so keep listening. On that Bitches Positive podcast, sometimes we will laugh, other times, baby girl, we're gonna cry, but we will always walk away feeling our most empowered, positive bitch self. That is babe in true connection with herself. That's right. On this podcast, we unbecome who we are not so we can fully step into exactly who we came here to be. Today, we're diving deeper into the waters of codependency. As I've been on this codependent healing journey, that's right, codependent in recovery, hallelujah, I've learned so much about myself, so much about my past, so much about my pain, and I've been transmuting that pain into my purpose. And I do have now a deeper and different perspective of codependency now that I'm single. And I really want to share that with you today. And we're also going to get into your questions that you asked me on Instagram. Be sure to follow me at vibinwithcc. That link will be in the show notes if you're not already, because that's when you get the ability to ask questions that we talk about here on this podcast. Before we get into the codependent cure, I do have a couple of announcements. I did just release a new song. Pudding is officially out. If you're feeling like you need a boost of confidence or an energetic frequency tune up to put yourself back on the pedestal and take your throne, then this song Pudding is for you. I had so much fun creating it and I hope you enjoy it. The link will be in the show notes. If you've not yet gotten your copy of Show Up As Her, be sure to get that. Also will be in the show notes. It's 10 laws on how to reclaim your power, positively manifest, and show up in a very most magnetic energy. And without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Maybe you're thinking, Cece, I don't really know if I'm codependent or not. What does that mean? I'm going to give you a couple of pointers and you just let me know if this sounds like you. You focus on other people and their problems, caretaking, fixing, giving advice, doing for others even when it negatively impacts your mental health, physical health, and finances. You're extremely self-critical. You feel responsible for everyone and everything. You experience high levels of guilt and shame. You absorb other people's feelings. You're a people pleaser, afraid of disappointing or upsetting others. You have trouble setting boundaries and being assertive. You ignore your own feelings and needs, possibly numbing them with food, binging, alcohol, or drugs. Intimacy, open communication, and trust are difficult. Maybe sometimes we act a little bit like a martyr, taking care of everyone else without receiving. Perfectionism, overwork, overschedule, controlling, nagging, and critical of others. Crave predictability, structure, and certainty. Now, my definition of codependency is simply body bouncing. Now, what is body bouncing? Body bouncing is when you essentially disassociate from your own body. You disassociate from your own perspective and you see yourself and the world through the other's point of view, through their perspective, their perception. So this can be your mother or it can be your intimate partner. And instead of you knowing how you feel in the moment, instead of you showing up as authentically you, you're body bouncing and saying, well, what do they need? How are they perceiving the situation? What do they think of me? And how can I help them? I have found along my journey with codependency that codependency, the reason I was so afraid that other people would abandon me is because I was constantly abandoning myself. And if I don't even have me, I'm going to need someone outside of me to fulfill me. Being codependent is really self-abandonment. It's self-abandonment. We're abandoning our wants, our needs, our desires, and we're only focused on what that other person needs, what they desire, what they're seeing, what they're feeling. And we pedestal them. This is why I'm so passionate about the pedestal principle. Because when you place someone else on your pedestal, you abandon yourself energetically, and this ends up repelling that other person. But more importantly than just repelling them is you lose sight of you. You lose touch with you. And you're so afraid, oh, this person might leave me. But in reality, you have left yourself long, long, long ago. We had to come to the realization that having a relationship with yourself is not just about the nails and the hair and the face mask and the bubble bath and the treat yourself. It's also about being real with yourself. Am I abandoning my own wants and needs? Do I even know what my own wants and needs are? Am I constantly perceiving myself from their perspective, or can I actually understand myself in relation to them from my own point of view? If we want to have a relationship with ourselves, you know what we need to be? Honest with ourselves. Let's start there. How are we actually showing up in our day-to-day life? Anytime I talk about people that I'm dating, I always call them specimen. Get it? Because I date men, specimen. So I have a new specimen that I'm calling Specimen GOP. Okay? Because he's good on paper, let me just tell you. Very kind. Hits a lot of the boxes. If not, I'll say a lot of them. Not all of them, but most of them. And I realistically could have kept him in my life. I could have kept talking to him. He would send me literally a paragraph of positive affirmations every single morning, Bible quotes, all that and more. And I could have just allowed him to stay in my reality so I could have comfort, so that I could get validation from something outside of myself, so that I could continue in that codependent nature of I need something outside of myself. I need someone to be uplifting me because I can't do it for myself. I could have allowed the same pattern that I had with past partners to happen again. And essentially what that pattern really is I'm not even paying attention to whether or not I like them. I'm just receiving all this attention from them, and you kind of almost trip into a relationship with them because you're like, wow, they're so kind. They're funny. They're giving me all this attention. They feel like comfort to me. This is so easy. And we almost have to convince ourselves to like them in a way. This is not a healthy start of a relationship. And if you have to say someone's good on paper, but you don't actually have a cosmic connection with them, that's a red flag in itself already. Trying to convince ourselves, well, they can do this for me and this for me and this for me. That's not how you want to start a relationship. So I could have kept this person in my life, and I could have had a quote unquote rotation, which that's not me, dog. I don't know. That's not my vibe. I think a lot of us are dealing with codependent issues and we don't know that we are. And I think a lot of us collect people so we don't have to face our own pain. I think a lot of us try to take people to fill our emotional holes instead of just tending to our own emotional garden. And I could have easily done that with Specimen GOP. I could have easily just kept him around to give me validation, to give me comfort. I could have collected him and put him in my purse. But that would not allow me to actually go deeper into codependency and really heal that feeling of, what if I'm alone? What if I don't have anyone? And now maybe you'll find this rude of me, but can I just ask, what is everyone running from? What are we all running from? That we have to keep people on a rotation, that we have to constantly be talking to 15 people at once, that we have to be looking outside of ourselves all the time. What are we running from? The ego's lies that we're all separate when our intuition knows we're all deeply and divinely connected. What are we running from? Our emotions that we're so scared to look at because mom and dad didn't give us enough hugs. What are we running from? The emotion of loneliness? Our fear we're going to die alone? What exactly are we trying to avoid? And I don't know if it's the Capricorn in me or if it's just the spirit of a warrior, girl. I don't know, okay? Because I always say I'm a natural born fighter. But I can't do it. I can't do it. I literally can't. I find it so boring and unfulfilling to just constantly be like, blah, 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 to 15,000 people. I don't care. I don't care enough. And I don't know, like, what if we just instead leaned into these feelings? Like, if you're in a relationship or if you're single, either way, if codependency comes to play, you're going to feel alone and like you want to die anyway. So it really doesn't matter if you're single or not. But what if we just leaned into it and said, okay, well, actually, what can I do with my time? Is there something I want to create? What can I create in this space? Do I want a side hustle? Do I want to just cry into my pillow? Are there emotions that are trying to come up? Because codependency to me is like an entity. It's an energy. And it will keep coming up because it's been with me for so long, but it's going to keep coming up until I fully heal it. And the longer I felt it, the longer it may take to heal it. And also the deeper it might be. So yeah, it might come up time and time again. Nothing wrong with that. The only thing that would be wrong is if I was trying to outrun it, because there's no point in doing that, or trying to numb it. Like, what is the point of that? That is such a temporary fix. It's a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. It's not worth it when we can actually just look at it, heal it, and live in our truth. I feel like society has really programmed us that being alone is some terrible thing, or being single some monster in the closet. I know like literally all of my aunts, every time I go anywhere, they're like, this person, that person, this person. I went to a wedding and they're like, you gotta meet so-and-so. And I'm like, please God, no. Like, if I'm meant to meet them, we'll meet. I don't need you to shove me in their face. I went to a retreat, a pilgrimage, if you will. And my mom and her friend were like, oh, did you see that guy who just walked in? I was like, he bats for the opposite team, baby girl. Like, he's not into me. I don't know how else to say that. It's just in society, like, people have this kind of narrative that if you're not in a relationship, like, something might be wrong with you or like you need to be in a relationship. And I'm not going to let everyone else's codependent fears rain on my little parade. You know what I mean? Like, I have things to do. And in order to be great, I do think you need a lot of time with yourself, to have time to understand your mission, your ideas, process it, and then physically create it. I think almost codependency is one of our original fears. Because, you know, I don't really believe in original sin, but I do believe we have original wounds. I think one of these original wounds are loneliness, because we go from being connected to everything and we have an understanding of that, and then a fragment of our soul gets pushed into this skin suit and we forget that we're connected to everything because our ego convinces us that we are separate. It lives in illusion. And I think part of this original wound of loneliness is codependency, where we feel like we need someone outside of ourselves to validate us or love us or see us or know us. When what if we just created a partnership with ourselves and gave these gifts to ourselves? And I'm not saying to never be in a relationship. I love love. Oh my God, I love love. And if it's the right person, I definitely say be with that person. But if we're settling because we're afraid to be single, or we're afraid of codependency, or we don't want to face these feelings, that is not okay. And it's never going to be okay. And again, I'm going to keep saying this, but part of self-care, soul care, self-love is being honest with yourself and saying, am I just in this because I don't want to be alone? We got to cut that cord real quick. As someone who's dealt with codependency, I also have a tendency where I always have like a best friend or a relationship. I always have like a person who's always there. And I've never in my life didn't have that best friend or didn't have that relationship, and it's just been me. And this is the first time in my life where it is just me. I don't have that relationship. I don't have that best friend. So I am now facing the energy of codependency once again, but a little bit differently. And it's the fact that I don't have that comfort blanket of that person, of that best friend or that relationship. And of course, there's times where I feel like I'm crawling out of my skin, where I'm just like, ugh, I wish I had that person, someone to talk to, someone to whatever, because I don't want to have to face this codependency. But as positive bitches, we know that if we run from our darkness, we'll always be haunted by it. If we keep ignoring our darkness, it doesn't mean it's going to go away. It just means we're in denial of it. And eventually it will bubble over. I realize that in past relationships, when someone was just being kind to me, or they were good on paper, or they were giving me a lot of energy, even if I wasn't 100% about them, because they were giving me that comfort, I would just kind of settle for it. I'd be like, yeah, okay, since this is being offered, I'll take it. It's not exactly what I want. It's not really hitting all the boxes, but I'll just take it. And this time, I've realized I've worked so hard on myself and I have so much I want to do in the world that I'm not going to let my codependency tendency convince me to settle for someone who I know is just not my person. I'm also not going to keep them around in a rotation to fulfill my own emotional wounds, because I'm a grown adult and I need to learn how to heal those on my own. It's not healthy to collect people because I'm afraid of a feeling of loneliness, or because am trying to outrun codependency. That's not fair to me, and it's not fair for them. And also, I don't want to collect bad karma as I'm collecting people, and neither should you. I don't think there's anything wrong with dating multiple people at once, but consciously having rotation because you can't be alone and because you're so afraid one of them is going to leave you, so you have to have 5 more on the back burner, that's your wounds talking. That's not your intuition. It's not. So, of course, there was a part of me that wanted to run back to that codependent energy of comfort and say, oh, he's good on paper. He likes me. That's good enough. But no, it's actually not good enough. Codependency is not going to allow me to settle for comfort anymore, because I want more. I want more than comfort. I want a relationship where I actually genuinely connect to the person and want to be around them. I had to come to terms with realizing that this whole codependent energy thing, it's not even mine. It's something I learned. It wasn't something I was born with. And I was reading a book called Single on Purpose, which is a really good book. And he said one quote, and he said, we acquire desires that aren't even ours. And this is how I feel about codependency, because in actuality, I need a lot of alone time. I need a lot of time to marinate in my own energy, because I do find it depleting to be around people for too long. I love being around people. We're also social beings. We're meant to be around people. We're meant to be in relationship. We're meant to have friendships and intimate relationships, all these things. We're meant to have this. But at the same time, too much of it is very overstimulating for me. And I do need a lot of time by myself in nature and prayer, just reading. And I was talking to my mom, and the way she talks about, relationships is funny to me, because I hear the codependent themes coming from her even to this day. And she's like, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do this? I'm like, Mom, I am so tired. Like, she thinks that dating is never ending fun. She doesn't realize that there's energy that you put out when you're dating and speaking to people. She doesn't realize that they also take your energy and sometimes feed on it. So she was telling me, go out more, talk more. And I'm like, I'm tired. And actually, this codependent thing, it's not even mine. Like, this codependent thought process of I can't be alone, or this is a failure, or this or that, that's not mine. I enjoy my alone time. I really like myself. And that's why I'm not willing to accept the bare minimum, because I've now realized I'm okay to be alone. And even if there's a random wave of emotion or sadness or codependency, I know it's temporary. So if I need to cry, I'll cry. But I know that that is not mine to hold on to. The feeling of codependency, or that wanting to just attach to another person, or the feeling of loneliness, I think it's really important that we don't claim them as our skin, but we realize it's just an emotion we're moving through, or rather that emotion is moving through us. I make an effort to not say I am lonely. If I ever experience loneliness, I'll say I am experiencing the feeling of loneliness. And I think it's really important that we remember that if you are in a season of singleness, this season is for now. It's not forever. Let's say you got fired from your job. This season is for now. It's not forever. And I think we have to remember to make that distinction between for now and forever, or else we can make ourselves feel really bad and really insecure. We have to pay attention to the narratives that we're telling ourselves. If I tell myself this is a season where I'm up leveling, I'm focusing on my health, my wealth, my career, my friendships, that makes me feel good. I feel excited about that. If I tell myself I'm going to be alone forever and die, well, that makes me feel terrible. So pay attention to the meaning you are creating around your current season and make sure it's close to the truth, accurate, and uplifting. Remind yourself, whatever you're going through, this is for now. It isn't forever. Recently, I saw a quote that said, "It's all connected. Your gifts, your circumstance, your purpose, your imperfections, your journey, your destiny. It's molding you, preparing you for the best. Just relax. You don't have to master the rest of your life in one day. Master this moment. Be here now. Breathe." That's what I've really been working on, is mastering my current moment, because there are so many things I want to do, and there are also a lot of plans that I want to alter that I had originally for my life that I realized, that's not really in alignment with who I am now. I want to make it more like this. So how can you, and this is what I've been asking myself, how can we master this moment? What is this season wanting us to look at? Now, if you deal with codependency, you have that pull, I just need to fill up my time talking to people. You have a pull to, I just need to keep people on a rotation because I fear abandonment. You have a pull to keep people around and settle for them instead of waiting for what it is you truly desire. Remember, having a relationship with yourself is not just all fun and rainbows. It's keeping it real with yourself. These patterns aren't serving you. They're keeping you stuck. They're not serving you. They're keeping you in the codependency. They're not serving you. They are actually holding you back. Now, the number one thing I truly feel that has allowed my codependency to relax is having a relationship with God, because it makes me feel less alone. That's just my truth. I feel connected to something. I feel like my angels are around me. I talk to Jesus. I talk to my spirit guides. Having that connection has allowed me to rest, because I remember I'm in the right place at the right time. But also, I feel like, well, I don't even need a physical person in front of me to feel connected to the world at large. So if you are having an experience of loneliness or codependency, start dating the divine. Call out to your angels. Call out to Jesus, to the Blessed Mother, and say, I need to feel connected to something. And specifically, I want you to ask for awareness of their presence, because they're always there, but it doesn't mean that we're aware of their energies, their presence in our life. Knowing that I'm never alone, now I don't have this egoic fear of connect to someone right now, because I know I'm not alone. I'm here in the now, mastering this moment, and I'm always divinely connected to this God, to these spirit beings, and I don't need to worry. Let's get into the questions that you positive bitches asked. Someone asked, how to fight codependency on a daily basis? Great question. I would say you want to make sure that you're in your own body. Since codependency stems from self-abandonment and disassociation with the body, the question would then be, well, how do I stay in my body? And for me, this is working out. I can't really be focused on what Brad and Harry are doing when I'm in a 130-degree room in yoga trying to hold my leg behind my ear. So I like to stay in my own body by doing something physical. It calls my spirit back and doesn't allow me to body bounce as much. Another way to fight codependency on a daily basis, and by the way, it's yoga for me, it's working out for me, but it could be stretching or walking for you. It could be MMA, it could be CrossFit, it could be running, it can be jumping jacks, hula hoop. All of those are ways to get back into your body. Another way to get back into your body is to really ask yourself, well, instead of me focusing on the needs of others, what are my needs? And we have physical needs, health. We have to brush our teeth, bathe. We have emotional needs, making sure that we're not getting burnt out or overwhelmed. We have psychological needs, spiritual needs, social needs. What needs do you have, and how can you meet them on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis? For me, I know I need to meditate every single day. That's like a spiritual, psychological need for me. I know I want to drink X amount of water. I know that I want to eat this type of food. I know that I want to work out. I know that I want to see family, friends. What are your needs that make you feel like you? I know that I want to create, do my podcast, do TikToks, write. What are your needs and how can you meet them? You might not have ever thought about your own needs because you're so concerned about other people. So yeah, you have to spend time literally writing it out to see what your needs are. And then you can reverse engineer that and then start fulfilling those needs every day. Some other needs can include prayer, talking to God, nourishing your body with high vibrational foods. Just think about what you might be missing from your life, or think about the things you do for others and ask yourself, can I actually give that to myself? Someone asked, is codependency the result of us feeling not capable of taking care of ourselves? It could be that you think you're not capable of taking care of yourself, but really it's just a result of ignoring yourself, of pedestaling the other because you think that's your only way to connect and get love. But as I said before, this is not a fact. It's not truth. It's faulty programming. For me, growing up, I was so afraid my mom was going to abandon me and leave. And anytime she was late from school, I would just have a tornado wreck my internal world of, oh my God, she's dead. She's never coming back to get me. And I was so afraid of her leaving my life that I constantly would abandon my own wants, desires, thoughts, emotions, body to make sure that she was okay. And I talk about this in my book, Show Up As Her, if you want to learn more, but that really molded me as a human being. So when I got into intimate relationships, I thought, oh, the way to be in an intimate relationship is to completely forget about what I want, what I need, and just focus on that other person. But relationships can't flourish when you lose yourself in the other person. A relationship needs two to tango. Someone asked, can codependency be healthy to some degree? What I think is healthy is an interdependence where you can be independent on your own, meet your own needs, have your own life, but also rely on other people. You can understand that you're an individual and they're an individual and you can rely on one another. You will meet each other's needs. It's part of being in a relationship. But there's not this energy of, I need to abandon myself in order for them to accept and love and be there for me. So I wouldn't say codependency is healthy. I would say interdependence is where we would want to land. A knowing that someone's going to show up for us, be there for us, love us without us feeling this fear in the background of, and if I don't show up exactly like this, they're going to leave. Someone asked how to break the anxious avoiding compatibility. Ooh, girl. Let's talk about it. So let's say Cece, me, walks into a bar and I tend towards anxious attachment. Let's say Brad at the bar is avoidant. I will be able to energetically sniff out the avoidant, the person who's going to allow me to feel this chemical cocktail of dopamine and cortisol and excitement, because I subconsciously know that this person is going to reaffirm to me my worst belief or fear, really, that I might be abandoned. They're going to reaffirm to me the same dynamic that I had with the caregiver I crave love from the most. Avoidance and anxiously attached people are drawn to one another because they reaffirm one another's worst fears. For the avoidant, their fear is intimacy. If I get too close, oh no, that's not good, because they had to learn how to be alone for a lot of the time. And then for anxiously attached people, their fear is abandonment. So anxiously attached people and avoidance, because they reaffirm one another's worst fears, oftentimes will be brought together to learn from one another, but usually we just traumatize each other instead. Haha, so fun. Anyway, so let's say I start dating Brad and all is well. A month goes by. We're getting closer and closer and closer. Now that the intimacy has risen to a level 10, Brad's going to start to pull away, which is going to trigger my abandonment wound. And then I'm going to try to get closer and I'll abandon myself in order to really get my claws into him. But this will only cause him to repel further in the opposite direction. And then maybe I'll get the hint and I'll start to pull back. As soon as I start to pull back, he's then going to come closer because now the threat of intimacy has lessened. And then I'm going to say, oh, well, now he's back. He's being good again. Let me go closer to him. But what happens? He then is going to repel again because the threat of intimacy has now risen. And then maybe I'll put up one boundary and I'll try to step away. But as soon as he comes back again, I'm like, oh my God, he does accept me. He does love me. And we just get pulled back in. How do you break that? You need to say no. Whatever we allow, we amplify. You have to remove yourself. And it's not about changing them, but changing your proximity to them. Remove yourself from that dynamic. You have complete control over yourself. You don't need to stay in a dynamic that is like a yo-yo. And I don't care what you had in your past. You don't need to repeat this pattern in your present and in your future. How do you break it? You break your own codependent, your own anxiously attached pattern by removing yourself and reminding yourself that you are worthy of love that is consistent and constant, not one that's hot and cold. Another question, how to be in a relationship when you're aware you're codependent? Number one, have non-negotiables. These are activities, hobbies, needs, things that you do that make you you. So if going to yoga twice a week makes you feel like you, don't stop doing that once you get into a relationship, because that's when you start pedestaling your partner, and that doesn't help your partner and it doesn't help you either. It actually disintegrates the relationship. The best relationships is when you're on your own pedestal and your partner's on his own pedestal, and you can hold hands together high in the sky and remain high vibe. You need polarity. You need two different personalities. You need two different energies to really create that glue that will stick you together. So number one is have non-negotiables. Make sure you're meeting your own needs. Don't stop doing the things that make you you just because you're now in a relationship. Number two, prioritize your well-being and make sure you're not pedestaling them. Check in with yourself on a weekly or daily basis. Am I manipulating myself so they like me? Even journaling would be really helpful. Did I fulfill my needs today? Am I making sure that I'm keeping up with my friends and my career and my health? Make sure that you're not by accident slipping into old patterns. And when you do, don't criticize yourself. Actually celebrate the fact that, wow, I'm learning and I'm becoming more and more aware that at times I slip into these behaviors that I'm now realizing aren't really helpful to me. I'd also say make sure you are speaking up for your needs. I think those who tend towards codependent tendencies, we have this belief that anything we need is too needy, so we're afraid to speak up for it. But the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And when you are just honest about what it is you need, hey, I need a phone call once a day, or I need to see you at least 2 times a week. When you're honest, you then give that person the chance to actually meet your needs rather than just praying or hoping they'll somehow read your mind and then being resentful of them when they don't. That's not fair to them, and it's just not fair to you. And it really doesn't create an opportunity to see what you two can create together. I really recommend talking to someone like a therapist or a life coach. I'd recommend getting my book Show Up As Her, because we talk about our attachment map and how it's really important to understand why you think and feel the way that you do. A lot of this stuff that you're experiencing isn't actually yours, but a learned program. And so if you want to free yourself up to the best possible results that you can get, you have to first become aware of your programs that aren't serving you. Someone said, God, does it ever go away? I'm 46 and still struggling. So it goes away if you work on it. And what I'll say, it's almost like a radio. Like, it can be lowered. You know, the volume will go down if you can get a handle on it, which you totally can. Another good book to read is Attached. It's an amazing book on attachment systems. But codependency, it's really not this terrible, terrible thing. It's just a program. And it's something that you can heal through. And I can say that as someone who's gone through so much of it. And old codependency Cece could have never even broken up with her ex. She would have never done it. And like, it makes me emotional, but like, I'm very proud of myself that I was able to do it. It's not so easy to look at someone who's been in your life for 7 years and be like, I can't do this anymore, or this isn't right energetically. That's not an easy thing to do. However, if you're able to consistently choose yourself instead of your wounds, I do believe that your reality will reward you for it. And I just refuse to be caged by codependency when I just want more from my life. And I think that when you realize that you can do anything, like you have so much power, and I just keep repeating to myself, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, and that helps me continuously move forward. And it's not always easy. I know I'm a life and energy coach. I have clients. I wrote a book, writing another one. I know I create content, but I'm still a human, and I feel these feelings too. And sometimes I do feel lonely, and sometimes I do feel upset, and sometimes I do feel that nagging of, oh, it would be just so much easier if there was someone here. But, it's almost a lie though, because easier for who and for how long? Like temporarily, it might be easier to hang on to specimen GOP, but ultimately that is not easier. It's harder because then I keep the comfort of codependency with me, and I have to stay in a cage, and I don't want to be caged. I want to get everything I want and more. So does it ever go away? Yeah, you can lower the volume on codependency. And I never would have thought I would have been able to end the relationship that I was in, even though I knew or felt like it needed to end. I didn't think it was going to be possible. But if I can do it, so can you. I'm or was as codependent as you, or worse. So if I could do it, if I can heal through it, you absolutely can. Do you need tools? Yes. Do you have to work on your narratives? Yes. Do you have to pay attention to your thoughts? Yes. Can you do it? Yes. Does it get easier? Yes, when you become stronger. It doesn't just go away on its own. And if you keep that rotation, if you keep just plugging people in, no, it doesn't go away on its own. You have to be willing to actually engage in a relationship with just you. You have to be willing to go out on a limb. You have to be courageous. And I know it feels like our skin is crawling sometimes, but I would rather feel like that now and heal than be caged in comfort relationships for the rest of my life because I didn't trust myself enough to stay single and actually align with the right vibrational human. This is a really good question. Knowing the difference between feeling anxiously attached and when the person is actually being disrespectful, like, is it okay to work through or is it time to let go? You know what I think a good way to kind of combat this is, how would I feel if someone was doing this to my daughter? What advice would I give to her? Because when I think of leaving my relationship, I always think to myself, what would I tell my daughter? I would tell my daughter to get out of it. Okay, and that's what I did. So I'm happy with that. I'm proud of that. That feels aligned for me. So think about what your partner's doing and ask yourself, how would I feel about this if someone was doing this to my daughter? And what would I tell her to do? Would I tell her that she needs to pay attention to her own needs? Would I tell her that she should go out with her own friends? Or would I say, oh, look, this person is disrespecting you and you do need to step away? I think it's important to use my technique, which is in my book, called Yellow Light. And essentially what this is taking a pause and going to wash your face or taking a shower, or taking a walk. Let your emotions settle before you just word vomit everything you're feeling and thinking. Because a lot of us who have codependency, we have never learned how to emotionally regulate ourselves. And so we get really upset really quickly and we just say everything that's on our mind. Instead of doing that, take 20 minutes, take an hour if you want, and let your emotions settle. Just like our foundation sometimes oxidizes and turns our face orange when it was not supposed to be orange, our emotions do the same thing. So give yourself time to actually hear what you're feeling, feel what you're feeling, process what you're feeling. This will also help you understand, am I being disrespected, or is this past stuff coming up? Do I really care about this, or is it just my programming wanting to spiral out of me? And let's end with how to let yourself pick you and accept their behavior as their choice. I would definitely recommend joining my 21-day Breakup Glow Up Challenge. In this challenge, I give you 21 days of audio lessons, video lessons, worksheets, meditations, and so much more. It will help you completely detach from them, but more importantly, get into yourself. How do you choose you? I think the best way to do this is to create a compelling future. What do you want for your life? If we want to move forward, we got to have something to look forward to. Do you want to create a better health situation? Do you want to create better friendships, career, wealth? What is it you want to create in your life? You might never, ever, ever, ever be alone again. This might be your last season of singleness. So girl, you got to use it. You got to use it up, because when else will you have all of this free time? It might be never. It might be never. So use this season to your advantage. Sink your teeth into it. It's for now, not forever. And really wring this season out like a towel. See what you can get out of it. That's what I'm going to do. Who knows? But I'm excited. I'm excited. That's another thing. Tell yourself how you feel. I'm excited. I'm ready for the day. I'm going to create health, wealth, faith, friendships, family. Who knows? The world is your oyster. Now, isn't it? Yes, it is. I love you so much. Don't forget to check out my new single, Pudding. Don't forget to get your copy of Show Up As Her. And as always, a sparkle in me honors a sparkle in you. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave a positive review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If not for me, do it for you, because good karma. And I'll see you in the next one. Mwah.